Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany, and in today's video I'm gonna play simple chess. The idea is to apply the basic concepts that we learn into practice. So let's see how it goes. So I'm playing on chess.com. I'm around 1300 right now, and I'm playing Blitz 5 plus 5. So let's see what's our challenge in today's video. Okay, so I'm gonna play against chess like. I'm gonna start by controlling the center with the pawn, so e4, freeing the bishop and the queen as well. I'm gonna play d4, controlling the center since my opponent plays c6, not controlling the other central square. Now d5 is an attacking move, he's attacking my pawn. So I'm gonna defend by moving the knight to c3. Gonna recapture. Okay, so again, he's attacking my knight. I have the choice of capturing the knight on f6 or maybe going back with my knight to g3. Bishop d3 is not possible because my pawn is hanging at the moment and I don't have the discovered attack. So I'm just gonna move my knight to g3 and defend it by running away. I'm gonna play c3 first, just protecting my pawn. Now I'm gonna bring the bishop into the game. And now my knight as well, just developing my pieces. So in the beginning, it's very important that we develop all of our pieces, because if we leave any of these pieces at home, probably we're gonna miss it. Okay, so he's pinning my knight here. I'm gonna attack this bishop. Probably he needs to take now, otherwise he's just gonna lose a turn. So let me just recapture with the queen. And well, even though the knights are quite tricky, the bishops are usually slightly better than the knights because they have a long range. So I don't really like exchanging my bishops if I don't have a good reason to do so. Knight d5, I'm gonna castle, defending my king. He played knight d5, not quite sure why yet, but okay. So he's developing his pieces, knight to d7, alright. Okay, so now I need to develop this bishop. I can put it on g5, kind of pinning this pawn. He can play queen to b6, because the pawn is defended by the knight at this moment. Yeah, that's what he did. Alright. So now I need to defend this pawn, because the pawn is hanging. He's attacking, now I need to do something to defend. Okay, so I'm gonna defend it simply with the rook. So far the position is very balanced. I don't have any advantage, but my position is solid as well. I need to develop this rook as well, put it on e1 potentially, because it's a semi-open file. He can think of playing pawn to e5 now, creating this pawn break, but instead he is attacking my bishop. Alright. I'm just gonna return it to d2, safe square. Now he has weakened a little bit his castling, but I still don't see a way of getting any advantage from it, so for now it's okay for him. I'm also thinking of playing something like h4, h5 now, to try to weaken even more this pawn. So I could play rook to e1 and develop my rook, which is also a good strategy. But at the same point, I don't see a lot of value with this move, so I'm gonna play h4 and try to play h5 to weaken his pawn structure. So usually in the middle game, we need to attack. And for us to attack, we need to have a clear target of attack, because otherwise we're just gonna be moving our pieces around without any direction. And when that's the case, usually you can't really get anything from the position. So it's good for us to have a target. And usually the targets are either the king or a weak pawn. Okay, so he played knight from d to d7 to f6, which I think is an interesting move. Well, I can play h5. He's probably gonna play g5. And I don't know if I really want this position to be closed at the moment. Maybe I can try to switch one of the knights because my knight on g3 is not particularly the best one. So I'm gonna play knight e4, try and exchange it. And at a better timing, I want to play h5 for sure. Okay, I'm gonna take it with the bishop to keep with the idea of playing h5. Now he's attacking my bishop. I don't want to exchange my bishop for his knights. So I'm gonna play bishop c2, and the reason for that is that maybe this file will be open, so I don't want my bishop to be on this open file because it could be attacked, plus can also block one of my rooks. I still want to play h5, but his knight now is controlling h5, so I can't really do that at the moment. Now he is bringing his rook into the game, which I think is a nice strategy. Also, I'm thinking of playing bishop to f4 and then bishop to e5. I'm gonna do that. I couldn't before because his knight was controlling this square. And if I'm able to exchange the bishops, maybe I can start an attack more easily against his king. Do I want to play it immediately and open the d file? That's the question. I think I want. Okay, I'm gonna play it. Yeah, he can't really play f6. I mean, it's legal, but I don't think it's a good idea since my bishop can just leave and now the light squares would be very, very weak for him. And again, I want to play h5 because now if he plays g5, I have this idea of putting my queen on e4, and he doesn't have this square anymore on f6 for his knight. And I don't like the situation of my rook defending the b2 pawn, but for now I think that's what we have. But now h6 is a little bit weaker since, well, there is no bishop. He's attacking my a2 pawn. But I think I want to play h5 immediately, because if he takes, I can capture on g6, he can take, then I can move my queen to g4, attacking two different pawns at the same time. So I'm gonna play h5 before he plays h5 himself and stop my plan. Yeah, it's looking a little bit tough for him now. Maybe he should have played h5 immediately to stop my h5 from coming. Okay, he played 97, makes sense. So he's defending the g6 square with the knights and also attacking my pawn on e5, which is interesting. I'm thinking of playing queen f6 to put some pressure on e6 as well. Then he can play knight f5. Knight f5 is not that easy either, because if he plays knight f5, then I can capture. And if he capture, I'm gonna play this. Yeah, queen f6 is looking great. I'm attacking his knight and also putting pressure on g6 and e6. Yeah, I'm liking this game so far. So he has defended his knight. Okay, I think I can capture this, because e6 is also hanging. Oh, that's strange. Because now I think I'm gaining some pawns, which I love. Yeah, I'm gonna capture this one too. Thank you very much. Okay. Alright, so I need to be a little bit careful because now there are a lot of open lines and he can try to start some attack. I have two extra pawns, but this pawn is a little bit fragile at the moment. And he also has these ideas of playing rook to d2, putting more pressure on the second rank. So I'm thinking that maybe I need to exchange the rooks. Yeah, of course he has rook to that square. But at least I'm controlling this file and this can help me a little bit with my defense. Okay, so I'm I'm attacking this pawn. Not really sure if I want to do something about it immediately, but yeah, I need to play g3 because he's threatening mates, and mates are usually dangerous, at least. Well, if it doesn't capture the pawn, I'm gonna defend it. I mean, it's a pawn. And I love my pawn, so... Okay, so... He defended, which is good for him. Now... I'm gonna invade a little bit. And bring the other rook into the action. I have an extra pawn, which is a pass pawn, so... I can try something here. Okay, he's attacking my rook. I'm gonna give a check because maybe his king being on the 7th rank can be something good for me. Okay, I'm gonna bring my king up a little bit. Gonna defend my 7th rank, which is the 2nd. If I put the other rook here, I'm gonna capture, and then I have this check. But he is playing well. He really is. Okay. I'm gonna bother his pawn a little bit. Okay. I'm going to put some pressure on his pawn on b6. On h6, sorry. Okay, I need to defend this, of course. Yeah, now I need to start pushing this pawn, because otherwise it's just gonna be very tough to do anything. Yeah, I think I want to play rook to d5 to control h5 from happening, and then push f4. I don't have a lot of time, but... So maybe he has the same idea. He wanted to push h5 indeed. Okay, now it's time for some f4. And I'm gonna bring my king to f3. Interesting. So he's trying to bring the king now. Alright, I think now I can push the g pawn as well. Okay. Gonna offer this exchange. Gonna push this pawn and try to advance a little bit more my king. He can play h5, then I'm gonna play anyway king to f4. And now I want to play king to g5 to put more pressure on the rook that is defended only by the king. And the two rooks are defended by the king, so... I'm gonna give this check. Yeah, now I want to try to get you the pawn on b6. Advance a little bit more my king. I'm gonna advance this pawn and exchange it. Actually, I could have put my rook on the 7th, which I think would be better, but okay. Yeah, now I'm threatening mate plus getting the rook. So now I'm getting the rook. And time's over. Oof. That was an intense game. Okay. Oh, and it was a very tough opponent. So let's see what happened in the middle game, which I think was the most important part of the game. So he played the Caracan, and whenever your opponent doesn't put a pawn in the center with e5 or c5, we always want to push d4. And that's because thinking of the three principles that we have in the opening, controlling the center, developing your pieces, and castling your king, controlling the center is the most difficult one because usually there is a battle to see who's gonna get the center first or who's gonna dominate the center. So if we have the opportunity to put 2 pawns in the center, that's like perfect. I'm not saying the Caro-Kann is bad or anything like that because that's like a very solid opening, but thinking of simple terms, if you can't put your 2 pawns in the center, then just do it. So e4, c6, d4, d5, knight c3, developing a piece, takes, knight f6. I just defended my knight that was being attacked. g6, c3, bishop to g7, just developing the pieces. I just wanted to develop my pieces. And here, I'm not sure if he really needed to like exchange his bishop for the knight. So it's kind of helped me a little bit. Knight d5. Again, he's moving with the same piece in the opening, which I'm not sure if it's the best strategy, but not a bad move either. I just castle, continue the development. Knight d7, bishop g5, just developing the bishop. My rook was a little bit passive, like for the most of the game, which I didn't like so much either. But I don't see another way of defending the pawn. Because if I put the queen on e2, then if this file is open with the rook there, my queen will need to move again to c2, for example. And then I lose pressure here on the king side. So I just defend with the rook, which is not ideal, but, well, that's what it is. Bishop to d2, just defending the bishop. e6, I think, is a little bit passive. He could just like bring a rook to the e file or to the c file to push and break. So when we are in the middle game, we need to think of attacking ideas. We want to put pressure on the opponent's position, because if we don't, then the opponent can do whatever the person wants to. And we really want to have a target. And as I mentioned, the 2 main targets that we have in chess are the king and the weak pawns. So if we can attack one of these, then that's perfect. And if there aren't any weaknesses in your opponent's camp, then you should try to create one. So if he plays c5, he's trying, for example, to create, if I defend properly the pawn, an isolated pawn, or at least take out my central pawn from the game. Because as we can see, this pawn chain is blocking his bishop from doing what he could do. So if the pawn gets eliminated, then that's good for black. But he didn't play it. And I think that this is one of the most difficult things around this ELO, because people start just moving pieces around and trying to maneuver and exchange pieces for no reason, but they don't really understand these ideas of pawn breaks and creating attacking chances, I think. So if you want to improve, then you need to study more this area. e6, then here I started to try to create a weakness, as I was mentioning. h4, h5 to create a weakness and to have a clear target in my opponent's camp, because that's crucial for a good attack. Here I wanted to exchange this knight because my knight wasn't doing much. And then I was trying to improve little by little my position, and he attacked there on a5, but my pawn on a2 is not that valuable if I can break his castle like this. So h5, attacking move, he tried to defend, but a little bit strange. And with this, I have a lot of pieces looking at g6, and he doesn't have a lot of defenders. And he also have a pawn defending another pawn. So usually if you have one defender for 2 different things, that's not a good sign for your position. So here I managed to grab 2 pawns, which was lovely. But as I mentioned, he also had some potential, like along the g file, along the d file. F2, g2 could be potential targets. So I wasn't really happy with giving him counterplay. So I just wanted to exchange few pieces and win with the extra pawn. So he attacked, then I defended. He was defending pretty well his position. I mean, I just bothered him a little bit. And I also didn't want to give him any counterplay, so I'm just defending my second rank as well. But then we need to do something active because otherwise we're not gonna progress in the position. So I needed to start pushing my passed pawn and the other as well. And here I think it was a good strategy for him to exchange the pawn because two passed pawns or two connect pawns are very strong. So if you can weaken them, that's good. And I started activating my king because only with the rooks it was impossible to win since he has a king there defending. So it would be 2 against 3. So I needed to put the king there and push more my pawn and put pressure on his position and grab more space for my pieces. And the rook on the 7th rank, my position was just too strong for him to hold anymore. So if he played king to e8, then I would have rook h8 doing a skewer, so I would gain the rook for free. He tried king to g8, but I played f7. He would play king to f8, and we would have the same position with rook to h8 gaining the rook. So this, I think, was like one of the best games so far in the series, which is nice. It's good when the opponent is playing well because, well, if the person just gives a piece, well, that's nice, but not so fun. Okay, everybody, so I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to click on the like button and see you in the next video. Bye bye.